Hello, team. Welcome to a surprise live where I thought we would just go over the nursing strike that is happening in New York City. If you did not catch my first video on this that I did a week ago, I will have it linked down in the description below after I finish this video because I did not have the foresight to already put it in. And it goes over in much more detail why people are on strike, the history of kind of like strikes happening in New York City. I had Adrienne on, Nurse Adrienne. She knows all the things about all the things union and all of the goodness. So I will leave that below if you want more of the background of it. But today I just thought I was seeing lots of updates on it. I was like, let's go and just briefly discuss the updates, who was actually on strike, who caved and is no longer on strike. And we were going, I am a nurse. I'm not a nurse from New York. So if you are and you have anything to share, please do let me know. In last week's video, we kind of talked about my view on the whole thing, right? Of how at this point last week, we talked about why the nurses are striking, which is because staffing is unsafe, right? We have unsafe staffing situations where there's too many patients to nurses and patients are dying. That is the current situation. And also, nurses deserve just like to be treated like decent human beings. And so that's what they were striking over. Big issue though, big thing, patient safety. We want patients to have enough nurses so they don't die and you can actually do your job as a nurse, which is, makes you feel like, oh, I'm doing the right thing, not I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off and maybe all of my patients will die and I'll lose my license. Bad feelings, right? That's what we talked about last week. And at that point, one hospital had already said, maybe we'll have a contract negotiation here and maybe we'll accept it. That was New York Presbyterian. They, I believe, now have actually accepted the agreement. We pooped on it. We were like, that's bad because basically they said, yes, we'll take more money, but no, we don't really care if you actually give us ratios. They did something called like remediation where they were like, oh, like if we don't have enough patients to nurses, then we're going to go have this other special meeting. And then they're going to tell us we have to change, but we won't change because we actually never do. So that's what they agreed to. They, in my opinion and Adrienne's opinion, caved. No, and if you have a different opinion, please do let us know below. But it seemed like they did what people usually do in this situation, or at least what has happened historically in this strike situation in New York, is they end up taking the deal, even though they had a lot of legs to stand on, which we realized last week, right? Adrienne was like, hey, there's a lot of union people in New York. So if you say we're going to call a strike, like the city's not going to really help you survive. And it's difficult to survive in New York without without a safety net. Mr. Midwife, hello. Are you early or am I on crack? Yes. This is an impromptu live because of the nursing strike that's going on for the people who are still on strike. There are 4 hospitals, right, that are on strike. Also, thanks everyone who hopped in to a surprise live. Welcome. Here we go. I've had a lot of like I've been looking at this for too long. I was going to wait till tomorrow night and I was like, I don't want to wait till tomorrow night. I have big feelings. We'll go share them. So here we are. There might be big feelings involved. Everyone buckle in. Hello, Brittany, Kim, welcome. Megan actually made it for a live. Hello, welcome. The surprise ones. Those are always fun. They're not very planned. So stick with me. Okay. So here is our press release. It's not what I meant to pull up. I was going to pull up. Aren't you all shocked? We're going to pull up the Instagram. I want to go over here. Let's share this tab instead. This is the Instagram, very official results, right, of the New York State Nurses Association, NYSNA. This is the union that has the hospitals that are striking. I wanted to pull it up because it says, here's the hospitals that are actually on strike, right? Our 4 that held out. We're proud of them. We're proud of them. We appreciate that they are doing the hard thing because striking sucks, right? No one wants to go on strike. Nurses are not like, yeah, let's go on strike and like feel like we're abandoning our patients, right? No one wants to do that. This is like a method of last resort because hospitals don't care and won't listen until you decide to like financially like really gut punch them. This is what that move is. Everyone else caved. Everyone else signed contracts. We'll look at them. We'll look at their Instagram comments because they are pissed. People are annoyed that they had a chance to actually maybe get change and they were like, it's fine. I'll just take it and leave. I'll take the money and leave. That's what it seems like from the outside. If you're on the inside and you have other opinions, by all means, please, please let us know. Okay. But here are the hospitals that are striking. We have Montefiore Moses, Montefiore Weiler, Montefiore Hutch, and Mount Sinai Hospital, which honestly, I am surprised from all of the rumblings on the interwebs where I've been like creeping on Reddit and all the places seeing what the rumblings are. Everyone thought Mount Sinai would absolutely crumble, and they are not. They're like, hey, we're going to do this. So those are the hospitals that are left standing that are on strike. The internet is kind of freaking out a little bit. They're a little bit worried about all of this and what this means for patients. I think a lot of the patients have actually gotten moved out. According to kind of what I am seeing on the interwebs, they've moved a lot of the patients out, but strikes are happening, which honestly, like, I'm surprised. I Last week we kind of were saying, please, please hold out and actually try to get a good contract. What a contract basically is when you're in a nursing union, you have a contract that says, hey, this is when your days off, like how many vacation days, how you're going to get, how much money you're going to make every year. These are your scheduled raises. You can write into that your nurse patient ratios because New York does not, they have a law that talks about how many nurses have to be on a floor, which is really weird. They took a law that said, here's the nurse patient ratios. So like on an ICU, you can have 2 patients for 1 nurse. They took that and they said, you know what? Let's take that idea. I don't love that one. Okay. They were like, I love it. I don't love it. Let's just tweak it a little bit and make it so that it doesn't have a patient ratio. We're just like, this is how many nurses like have to be on there on the floor in general. And that's what they ran with, which is useless, right? Because it's like, well, that doesn't account for anything. Like how many other patients are there? It's fine. Useless law. That's what they have. So they could have written into this nice union contract how many patients they would like to have so they were less overwhelmed. And here we are. It seemed to be a lot of the people on the interwebs, right? The rumblings were that as much as we wanted to see change, that this had happened before, and we've had a strike situation where, like, New York, the New York Nurses Association was like, hey, let's do this thing. Let's change things. And then they were like, here's a bunch of money. And they were like, okay, never mind. We'll take that and we'll leave. And a lot of people were like, I think that's going to happen again. So while we are sad that 4 of the other hospitals were like, never mind, we will take whatever you offer us and leave, we are happy and surprised, to be totally honest, that 4 of them were like, hey, we are going to go on strike and good luck. I have not seen the fallout of it yet. Maybe we'll have to do another video where we talk about what it looks like in New York, because last week Adrienne pointed out a lot of good things. I'll leave her socials below too. She's like very good at all the strike types of things, and knows a lot about unions. She was pointing out that, other union workers won't cross strike lines. So that's like delivery truck drivers, taxi drivers, all of that. So how hotel workers, like, it all gets very convoluted. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, because obviously these hospitals are going to have to bring people in. But I've also seen that these hospitals shipped out most of their patients so that they didn't have to go, they didn't have to necessarily bring in quite as many people, but we will keep you updated. So those are the 4 hospitals that we have that are going on strike. If you care to do so, these are the hashtags of things. Here it is, that you can use if you are supporting nurses that are going on strike. Even if you just reshare something, I think it would be kind of nice, because it sucks. These nurses are kind of like, people are mean when you go on strike, especially when you're a nurse and they're like, how dare you abandon patients? And it's like, you kind of just want to scream back. I would imagine like everyone, like people are already dying. Like, do you not get that? The public, I don't know if everyone just gets that, but like unsafe nursing staffing ratios, like bad things happen. Nurses, you're going to miss things. If you have too many patients, you're not going to be able to double, triple check. You're not going to be able to give the care you need. And then people are going to die. So yes, it totally sucks. But it's because it sucks that they're doing this so that they can get better ratios, except for all the places that then took deals that didn't assign ratios, which is like maddening. Because now you're in a contract for more years, like 3 or 4 years, however long their contracts are. And you can't do anything about it again until the end. And the hospitals are just going to continue to screw you over and be like, well, like, I mean, you've technically had, these crazy ratios, and like, nothing, like we're still all here, so we're just going to keep doing it because it's way cheaper to not have to staff this place appropriately because you nurses demand to be paid like, a living wage, which is just very rude. And then everyone leaves. So that's where the frustration comes in. Like, I wish you had stuck around. Why did you take the deal? Oh, it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be fine. Should we just say it's going to be fine? My name doesn't need to be on here. We're doing this by myself. Let's see. Oh, Brittany is going to go get married. Brittany McDonald's watching this while I'm on my flight to Vegas to get married. Woo, woo. Congratulations. That's very exciting. Yeah. Oh boy. Raf M was raised near Montefiore. Wow. I know. Wow. Yay. Good. Megan says the same people that complain about nurses striking are the same people that would sue said nurse for making a mistake while being overwhelmed. Exactly. Because the hospitals don't have nurses' backs, right? You have, say, you're a nurse on a med-surg unit, and you have, 8 patients. You're giving blood, you're giving chemo. Everyone's confused. They're all getting up. Someone gets up, falls, and because they're confused and they trip on something and they break the bone and bad things, like they're older and nasty things happen when people are older and they fall. And like, let's say this person has horrible life-altering injuries. The hospital is going to be the one to turn around and blame the nurse, and say, hey, you should have been with them. You should have caught that. And yikes. They're not going to be like, oh, well, we did give you like way too many people. Nope. Or if you give the wrong med, or if you just don't have time to check on someone. Yeah. That hospital, they're not going to back you up. No. Also, Brittany, yes, everyone congratulate Brittany. That's going to be very exciting. I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful wedding event. And just don't go on the internet before, because that might just ruin the mood. You don't want that. What a week. So that's where we are, friends. That is our update of what is going on. We have a statement from the New York State Nurses Association. This was their press release that they sent out, that saying that nurses at Mount Sinai Hospital in Montefiore, Bronx are on strike. It's going to begin at 6 a.m. Every other day, it's going to go from 7 a to 7 p. I believe 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I don't think there's an end date in sight, so they're just probably the hospitals they're trying to figure something out now, to come to a better agreement. Now that the pressure is on, we'll see what happens there. Late yesterday, Governor Hochul released a statement asking for binding arbitration. I had to look up what that meant because I was like, I do not know what that means. And it turns out it means, I guess this is property tax. Arbitration, that might not actually be applicable. A binding arbitration means you I think have other people involved, right? That are going to come in and say, what? Oh, sorry. Did you already say they were only striking for day shift? Sorry, they're striking all day. They're picketing 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I did say that. That's not what I meant. Thanks for clarifying that. Yeah. Striking all the time, picketing 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The strike is, as far as I know, like ongoing. There's no break. What is a arbitration agreement? This is what it looks like when I do impromptu lives and we're like, don't really know. It's all like investment. This general binding arbitration means an independent, neutral arbitrator hears and examines the facts of an appeal and makes a decision that is binding on both parties. Okay, so that would be like bringing in a mediator, like Kurt said. It sounds like someone who could help the union people and the hospital admins talk and come to a conclusion and basically be like, it's kind of like the parent, right? When your children are squabbling like hardcore and you kind of come in, you're like, well, I'm going to find an equal, like you each want what you want. And I'm going to come in and make a really crappy down the middle line and like, everyone's going to be unhappy. Here we go. Let's go. Sounds like that's what, almost like court, but not. Yeah. Sounds like this is what this is. So the governor would like that to happen. And New York, NYSNA responded, the union, and said, NYSNA will not host a virtual press briefing today. The press conference will be live streamed on Facebook. That's weird. Why are we live streaming things on Facebook? Facebook? Really? We can do better. It doesn't surprise me at this point, given I have bad feelings towards this union now that they've like rolled over and taken all these crappy contracts. So maybe if you weren't on Facebook, things would be better. I don't know. That just seems You know where we will have a press conference? Let's do it on Facebook. Okay. Fire up your MySpace, get a good background, make sure it has nice music, good video, good glittering graphics, and let's go and have a press conference. Important message to New Yorkers: do not get delay in getting hospital care. That is what NYSNA would like everyone to know. Do go to a hospital, just don't have it be one of these. To all of our patients and New Yorkers, we want to be absolutely clear. If you are sick, please do not delay in getting medical care, regardless of whether we're on strike. Patients should seek hospital care immediately if they need it. We would rather be the ones providing that care, but our bosses have pushed us out here instead. True. We appreciate solidarity from our patients, but going to the hospital to get the care you need is not striking our strike line. In fact, we invite you to come join us on the strike line after you've gotten the care you need. We're out here so we can better provide patient care to you. That's weird. I don't know. I think if you're requiring something from, if you're requiring services from a hospital, maybe in no way, shape, or form should your priority be going out then on a strike line to either infect everyone with what you have or worry them that they now have to feel like, I don't know, if a patient came out, I'd be like, I feel obligated to take care of you as you like hobble around with your broken bone or your pneumonia, but it's fine. Also, I just realized I wasn't sharing this tab. It's going really well. Today's going well. This is what we're reading. I'll leave all these linked down below. This is the NYSNA, their little statement that they made to the public. Let's see if anything else is interesting that has on here. I'm glad some of you were looking at your MySpace. I logged into mine and was like, yep, still up. Oh, the memories. I'm afraid to look. I won't look. I know the last time I had one, it was like a beach background. There was definitely music, like all my HTML coding, like at its finest. I had just learned how to make something semi-opaque, peak. And I think I had downgraded my top 8 to like maybe a top 4 because I was like trying to exclude also. I was like, we're just going to be more cryptic. Trying to decide if I was going to like remove my high school friends for my college friends on my top 4. That's what we were doing. Let's see. State, Cordell. Let's see. They're going, and then they just go into a billion reasons why they are actually going on strike, and we won't torture you with what they're saying. If you want to read it, you can go and read it. But basically, they're just saying decision to go on strike is never an easy one, particularly for workers who care deeply about the patients and communities they serve. But hospital executives created this crisis by failing to hire, train, and retain nurses while at the same time treating themselves to extravagant compensation packages. Now it's time for them to fix what they've broken. So remember, these CEOs are making millions and millions and millions of dollars, as we saw. And that's just in like baseline pay, not counting bonuses. So they're rolling in the dough. And it's expensive to staff hospitals appropriately. And I think through the pandemic, we saw, hey, we can get by on a skeleton crew. And get by, we mean, lots more people are not making it. But it's really hard for hospitals to pin down the cause of someone having a poor outcome. They could be like, well, they were sick, so then they died. Not because we didn't staff our hospitals appropriately. They were just sick and then they died. So they really bank on that. So yikes. That's where we are there. So this is a lot of them saying that. Here's the actual statement from the governor, who is kind of in a pickle, like we saw last time. Like, as the governor of New York, right, you have on one side all of the people who, there's a lot of unions in New York. It's a very like union, I would say, friendly city in New York City, is the vibe that I have understood. And you want to stay friendly to that, right? Because you would like to get reelected. That would be positive. Doesn't necessarily look great there's a lot of people who would maybe not reelect you if you came out and you said, stop doing that, you silly people. Stop, just go back inside, and take care of people. Not a good look. On the other side, you get a lot of money from lobbying from hospitals, and the healthcare industry makes a ton of money, and that money definitely gets funneled back to like lobbying groups so that things don't change, right? Why did that other law that they tried to pass get super watered down and go from like, hey, you need to have 1 nurse for every 2 patients to like, maybe we should just have 7 nurses at least on the floor at all times? That's a big jump. And that is because there's a lot of money shifting hands and saying, hey, this is going to be just fine. Just like keep it just like it is. We like this. I enjoy my 7 yachts and, 8 houses. Let's not change anything. Okay. See, I got one of these. Where's my camera on here? Do you guys have these Stanley things? I finally got one. So I'm a true person, a true nurse and a true person of the internet now. I'm cool. I got one for Christmas. I do love it. Okay. Here's the statement from the governor. No one puts more on the line for New Yorkers than our nurses, which is why my team has been pushing for a fair labor agreement for the dedicated professionals and to ensure they have safe working conditions. For weeks now, we have been working tirelessly with our partners in New York City to broker negotiations between nurses and the affected hospitals, and our efforts have achieved significant progress. Well, in your eyes, perhaps. Good for you. I'm glad you're an optimist. Strikes have been averted at New York Presbyterian, Richmond University Medical Center, Miami-Dade Medical Center, and Flushing Hospital Medical Center by them rolling over on their backs and saying, it's fine. We won't stand up for anything here. We don't need ratios. Just give us a little bit more money and secure our retirement, and we're fine. I added the last few sentences, if you couldn't tell. My thoughts, not his. Yet there remain outstanding issues at Montefiore and Mount Sinai, and I'm now calling for binding arbitration. Are the outstanding issues that the nurses won't roll over and are like, we'd like actual change that actually fixes the source of the problem versus you just giving us money and saying, hey, your pension's still fine? Just saying. Is that a problem to you, sir? I guess it is. So all parties can swiftly reach a resolution. So he would like mommy or daddy to go in and make a crappy deal that everyone hates, but that ends the problem, is what we've decided. The New York State Department of Health will continue to enforce staffing requirements under the law at these hospitals to maintain the delivery of essential healthcare services to the community and protect patient health and safety, just like you've always been doing. That's interesting. You've done so well because we have such horrific ratios coming out. While these laws are still in place, the ones that say you have to have a certain number of nurses on a floor, but don't give a ratio. That's interesting that has not been followed even a tiny bit at all. I like how they're like, well, we're going to abide by the law that doesn't protect any of this in any way, shape, or form. Good. I'm glad you're going to follow it. Likewise, the health department will continue to ensure that all providers are meeting the requirements of the law that does not actually give ratios or make things safe, as we've seen, because things are not safe. But it is technically the law. This is what people are trying to change throughout, really a lot of people, like a lot of nurses are calling for that change in the law throughout a lot of the country. So things are more like California, even where they have mandated ratios by law. But even there, apparently in the Golden Land for nurses, things are not always followed, but at least there is a law there. I feel like hospitals then get around it being like, well, we tried, but everyone's quitting. And you're like, well, they're quitting because you're not enforcing. It's like a circular problem. You're like, well, they're quitting because you're not enforcing the ratios, and you can't enforce the ratios because you don't have enough people, but you don't have enough people because they all quit because you don't treat them decently and provide them safe working conditions. If only we could find the source of this problem. But no, we'll blame nurses for quitting and not wanting to work, and nursing schools for not pumping out enough people. All is well. We will continue to work with partners and all parties so that New York City hospitals and nurses can continue to play their critical role in caring for New Yorkers. That's good. Just like you've been doing, and it's been a hot mess. We'll just pretend. We'll ignore that. We'll pretend that isn't in there. Everything is fine. Let us see. You guys vote in the chat. I don't have a poll up. Do you want to look at snarky Instagram comments next really quick, or we can look at some news articles? I'm kind of feeling snarky Instagram comments, but we will see. Mama Jamma says it's never a good time to stand up for yourself except for now. Please do. Please do. If any of you people are out there watching, don't accept a crappy contract. Okay. We're going to stand up for a good one. We need one because it's not good. Jennifer Warren says, so many reasons I'm on the fence to continue nursing school. No one has nurses back. It's the truth. Good for them. I support all the way down here in Georgia, and I hope they don't cave. Me too, Jennifer. Some hospitals definitely do have much better ratios. It totally depends on the hospital that you are at. If they have, usually it's places with like unions or the state law. So California has a lot of really, if you live, you're in Georgia though. Oh, you're in Georgia. Yeah. In general, typically the Southeast, harder, more difficult to be a nurse, less, usually less union prone, right? Less, because unions can like enforce things in a state if a state doesn't have the rules. Um, Southeast is rough to be a nurse, but I'm sure there are good hospitals. If anyone out there is watching and you work at a great hospital in this South in like Georgia, do let us know. I worked at I mean, honestly, I worked at a hospital in Michigan and they had, we had a union and it was great. And they enforced our ratios for nursing, and working there, it was good. You know, it was still, there were like obviously things that are rough, but like do hospitals do exist that, you know, do stick to ratios and that are good. You just have to find one that is. But overall, it is, if there's other things, here's what I say about nursing and people going into nursing. If there's anything else you could imagine doing that you might like, do that. If there's nothing, well, then try it out. And all you can say at the end of the day, you're going to learn some things. Do like the cheapest program you can so that you're not in crazy debt, so that if you decide, hey, this isn't for me, we can change minds, right? We can change minds. And you won't be like me, who changed my mind and then have all the debt, all the debt. It's most unfortunate. Jay, Journey Diary says patients are so sick these days. Mandatory staffing ratios should be as followed: 4 patients to 1 nurse on med surg, 3 to 1 on a step down, and 2 to 1 ICU. Yes. And this is something we see a lot too, and it's only going to get worse, is that the patients we see on the levels where they are, on the units that they are so much sicker than they were like 10, 15, 20 years ago. And it also depends on the hospital. And so that also needs to be kind of like nuanced into how we decide ratios, right? The med surg floor that I worked on, we were in a pretty high acuity med surg. Like I would have 5 patients was my max, but we did drips on the floor. We gave blood, we gave chemo, we did insulin drips. We were doing, people could be super duper post-op where they still had like all sorts of tubes and drains. We had BiPAP on our floor, which was pretty abnormal. So like you could be pretty sick and still be on our floor, and 5 of you, that was way too many. 5 was way too many. And so, yeah, definitely we need to have more enforcement of ratios. And also it is difficult because a lot of the people who are on the other side or are up in management haven't been on the floor in a long time because they haven't worked on the floor in a long time. And they were like, well, back in my day, I had 50 patients. And you're like, Helen, it's not like that anymore, right? My people are sicker. And we also have a huge crisis in our country of a lack of people getting treatment early because they can't afford it or they don't have access to it. So they come in sicker and it's only going to get worse. So just to brighten up your Monday, those are some thoughts. But yes, I agree. Paige Perry says you can do 1,000 different things with a nursing degree and experience. Absolutely. You can do, there are many, many, many jobs if you have a nursing license, and it gives you some very good skills. You know, you're going to learn to stand up to people. You're going to get some very good skills. You're going to be great at delegating. Your family's going to love it when you try to like delegate out to them your entire life. Jennifer Warren said, I worked in a hospital pharmacy. It's less union prone, definitely, but the patient ratios are terrible in med surg. I feel bad for our nurses here. Yeah, that is difficult. Avarice Carmageddon said UK is making a non-strike law for essential workers like hospitals and emergency services. That's dumb. They just had a huge nursing strike over in the UK. If you want to watch, we have a video covering that. I'll have to do an update video on that. But they had they wanted just like same thing, fair patient ratios, but also raises because they pay their nurses like crap over there as their healthcare system. It was interesting to like hear about how it worked. Their healthcare system, people in government power are like trying to, it sounds like, drain money away from the National Health Service so that the people are like, oh, this is so crappy, I would just rather have privatized healthcare insurance. That's what's happening over there. I'm like, oh no, you don't want that. Turn around. around. You don't want that. Lizette agrees that the acuity these days is ridiculous. Yes, and yes, the 7,000 nurses, please don't cave. Please, please. This is for the New York nurses. Please, you can do it. You can do it. Adkempt. Hello, Adkempt. Says no strike law, fine. Everyone will just all quit at once. Oh, weird. How did that happen? Weird. Yeah. Yeah. Shelby said also every department is short and the slack gets placed on nursing shoulders, lab, dietary, respiratory, PTOT, environmental services. Yeah. Hospitals are just like doing little snips of like, what corners can we cut? Oh, wow. We're still afloat. Oh, what's that? Our mortality and morbidity rate is like skyrocketing and every horrible things are happening to patients. But we can blame it on other things. No, those aren't correlated. No, none of this is all related. Close your eyes. Don't think. Go to bed. Have a latte. We have them in our cafeteria. You can buy one for $12. Yay. Okay. Instagram has been voted on by you, the lovely people. So let's go. This is always funny. And Nisna. So this is still Nisna's Instagram. And they're posting all these things where they're like, yay, look, nurses at Mount Sinai, Morningside, and West reach a tentative agreement. And they're like really excited. They're announcing this like as if it's exciting. They are, so NYSNA is the union that is in charge of meeting with the people of the hospital and fighting for them to get a fair contract, right? So they are, they would like to, I've heard, we're just going to, what are you supposed to say when you're potentially saying something that'll get you in trouble? They are maybe, there's a word for it, potentially, they could take deals, right? They could also be handed money from people to make deals that aren't necessarily beneficial to the actual nurses. And then if not enough nurses vote on it, or like you were like me when I was a bedside nurse and I had a union and I was like, I'm not going to vote my nursing union thing. Like that's for old people. And now I look back, I'm like, oh, Liz, oh, Liz, you were dumb. Allegedly. Thank you, Vicky. Adcount. Allegedly. The union people might take some money and like a little under the table money to be like, hey, just try to pass this with your nurses. Okay. And then we'll all be good and we'll go. Allegedly. Okay. So this is one. And the union's obviously going to try to hype it up because they made this deal. They want you to take it. Nurses at Mount Sinai, they and Morningside and West reach a tentative agreement on so the strike started today. I think they reached this within the last day or so. Here are the highlights. Improving staffing standards and enforcement. But again, none of these actually enforce it. They just say, we're going to try, right? They didn't actually do it. They just said, we're going to try harder. And we're going to, if this doesn't work, then, we will try even harder to get you staffed. Didn't actually implement anything. Protection of healthcare and other benefits, which is like good, including lowering the cost of healthcare coverage, which is all good. I'm not saying these are good. Yes, they are pledging. If you followed the Johnny Depp Amber Heard lawsuit, they're pledging, which doesn't mean you have to follow through. It just means you have to state. So, and then it gives them health benefits, which is great. And then it increases their salary over 3 years. They get a 7%, a 6%, and a 5-year increase. So this is a 3-year contract. It looks like the tentative agreement will now go to the members to vote on the negotiations. And then it says other people are still having the strike. And then we have the people. Amazing how all of a sudden the hospitals find more money for raises and increased staffing when nurses threaten to strike. Will they ever learn to just treat their nurses well? No, they will not. I can tell you, Hollywood's Hills. They are not happy. I can tell you stories of how NYSNA consistently fails nurses. Nurses cannot defend themselves when you have such weak leaders. Where was NYSNA during the pandemic? So then all these people are basically throwing shade and they're being like, hey, this is not the contract we actually wanted. It sounds like it's like benefiting you because then the contract will be able to say, hey, you brought us a deal. Yay. Awesome. But nowhere have you actually done what we needed, which was secure nursing ratios. Instead, they're making these things where they're like, if you don't feel safe with your nursing ratios, then you can report it to this committee. And then that committee will try to troubleshoot with the hospital. And then we will try to enforce the things that were said in that meeting. And 12 years later, maybe we'll have a solution that we can't actually implement, right? Um, not good. Not, not, not good. What Marquis is not happy. What is the point of even posting? This is a disgrace. Neisna, do better. With the rate of inflation, this is a joke, which is honestly true because uh yeah, with how like crazy inflation is going, what did they get? Like barely, this person was correcting it, total of a 22% over 3 years. I mean, it's not bad, but like they're definitely just taking money when we're not solving the source of the problem. So everyone's still going to leave, and you're still going to have way too many patients, and your license is still going to be at risk. And we did not solve anything. You might just be able to afford therapy now. So bonus, small bonus, but hey, um, some people are for it. They're like, when the nurses stand up. I don't think you know what it means. Um, Jay Guidaveras says improved staffing standards and enforcement. Joke, you clown. Yeah, agree. If you guys think this is it, y'all are wrong. Neisna, you have to do better. New York nurses want ratios. We suffered during the pandemic and we lost nurses while these mofos get richer. Tell us how you really feel. Hilarious. Agreed. They're take oh, the CEO made 12 million from the exploited nurses understaffing and keeping positions at the lowest. Take your scraps and go back to your cage. Oh, maybe they're supporting it. Oh no, they're not. No, they're not. Yeah. Okay. I was like, wait, do they like Neisna? No. Good, Neisna. Here's a treat. Good boy. Now roll over and die. Yeah. There's no love there. So that was their contract. Nurses at Flushing also did the same thing. Tentative agreement reached at Flushing Hospital. Highlights include full ratio-based staffing grid. But from what I was reading, it doesn't look like, like this person said, just the grid. Good luck with that. So a grid means it's a recommendation. So that is not actually implementation. So they make these things sound good. You know, they're like, oh, we're going to improve staffing this way. Yeah. If there's no like implementation and punitive action plan of like, if this doesn't happen, this is what happens to the hospital, as in fines, or you can take this to, I don't know, whoever implements these things. This is when we need Adrian. If there's no implementation of it though, if it's just like, here's a staffing grid, well, that's nice. That's like my child's Christmas list, where they presented me with like a mile-long thing and they were like, here's my wish list. They are essentially saying, here's my wish list of things that I would like. And you're like, well, you'll get 3 of those. So good job. They're like, well, maybe we can sort of do that sometimes, never, but I like your enthusiasm. Right? Right. Good. We have, let's see if no one else was as fired up on that one. Some of these people really got going and they were not happy, I tell you. Which we have tentative agreements here. Where at the Bronx Care and Brooklyn Health Center, we have Jay Guidaveras is back, and he says improve safe staffing. What does that even mean? We want ratios. You guys never strike. 1199 is better. I think that's is that a different union? I think so. 11999 got us, no, people are mad at them too. Monty better not accept. Let Monty do better. They better be doing more with less they've been doing more with less for far too long, and they have billboards, concert, blah, blah, blah. These are not wins. As Decreeingness says, as these are not wins, these are wage cuts because of inflation that will continue to increase and worsen the upcoming recession. What about cost of living adjustment ratios? How will that be addressed? It won't be. It won't be. Spoiler. That's not a win. We need better. Let's strike on. Montefiore do better. That's a pay cut, not an increase in inflation rates. Are they wins though? Stan's dream out. So people are displeased. They're like, this is not a win. I'm kind of sad because there were some really spicy ones that I should have taken a picture of earlier because they are gone. As I'm reading through, I'm like, wow, they have cleaned up. They have gone through and they were like, let's just make this look a little bit better. We don't like the negativity we're seeing where we posted yay, we did it. And everyone was like, you suck. Graveyard Witch, thanks for becoming a channel member. I appreciate your support so that I can continue to rant on the internet about things like this. Appreciate you. Let us see. We have, did they leave any up here? All BS. So this one was talking about Maimonides. How do you say that? Maimonides. Um, Dre Guadavera, still unhappy. LBS, instead of more money, we want 1 to 4. We want ratios. Let's start taking care of our patients the right way. Hire more nurses. Let's be honest, this is not enough. I hope these nurses speak up. Ratios were hardly dealt with. Yeah, no one wanted to touch ratios because the hospitals would be like, "Oh my gosh, we will not have our yacht. What will we do?" Um, did congrats. Oh, here's Presby nurses. So this is the Instagram for New York Presbyterian. So they're going to be like, congrats, you're joining us with our really crappy thing. All superiors, blah, blah, blah. Great job. Here's people. I'm pretty sure these are paid like people in the union who are probably coming over and being like, good job, well done. You didn't give them anything you wanted us to. Yeah, wow, they really scrubbed these. Dang it, past self, you didn't take pictures. Ugh. Mad at past self. But anyway, yes. There we have it. Yeah. I'm seeing if people posted anything. Everyone of the back end, never the nurses. Safe staffing saves lives. Lots of support for people. No to arbitration. Yes. We don't want mommy and daddy to go into the middle. We support you. Yeah. And if you guys do go, like, just leave comments on, I don't know if you should leave it on here, but maybe they would see it. But just posting anything saying, like, yeah, we support the nurses who are striking, because that's got to be a hot mess. Like, trying to do that and dealing with all that. Miss Melanated said, nurse ratios are more important than money. Absolutely. If I have a breakdown or lose my license, what good is lousy pay increase? Exactly. I think a lot of people, they were like, ooh, that seems like a fun amount of, a nice little raise. Part of me honestly wonders, like, did some people do that and they're like, oh, I'm going to make good money for like a little bit. I don't know if that's good money though in New York City, because it's so stinking expensive to live there. And then I'm going to bounce. Yeah, a mess. But we're very proud of the people who are on strike right now. You go. Please keep going. Hopefully they don't go to some kind of like arbitration type of thing. And yeah, here is why it would be lovely to just show support. A lot of news places, I mean, they're kind of like covering it like, like staffing concerns, but then they're also, a lot of them have interviewed like people who were like, I'm really worried, like the nurses are all abandoning their job, and like, what am I supposed to do if I get sick? But yeah, they're highlighting how many vacancies there are. It's a mess. The hospital is using other staff and travel nurses to take care of our patients, but the nurses don't plan to budge until their demands are met. Yikes. And I wonder if that's because they couldn't get people in to cover the assignments. We will have to look further as more stuff comes up. But that's what I've got for you, friends. It is on. Four hospitals are striking. If you would like to send love their way, please do. Again, here are the hashtags that you can use in order to show support, which is New York's NYC nurse strike, safe staffing, saves lives, and patients over profits is what they seem to be using. I will leave those linked down below at the end of this. And yeah. So that's where we are. Thanks for coming to our impromptu live. I'll keep you posted. But that's our update. Not quite what we had wanted. We wanted a few more people to stick to their guns and be like, hey, no, we actually demand you give us a better deal, instead of rolling over and caving. Also, I need to go, and I learned to be very proactive and taking screenshots of their stinking Instagram, because apparently they're deleting everything, and Snarky Hour was not nearly as snarky as it was this morning when I was looking all of this. So there we are. Also, if you are a New York nurse and you are affected by this, do let us know what your thoughts are, because maybe you have a different insight into how this has all gone down, what your thoughts were if you voted to pass the contracts that you had. I would love to hear that. And just, all perspectives welcome and appreciated. And yeah, I was going to talk about this tomorrow. So I'm going to come up with a totally different topic. I was thinking about maybe talking about that new medicine that's like I think it's like Ozempic, but a higher dose. Is it Wegovy? Wegovy. The people on Instagram are like, or yeah, yeah, it is Wegovy. People on TikTok are like freaking out, and I've heard some people say some really crappy things about it. So I was thinking about maybe talking about that. It's like a lot of people are. It's for weight loss. If you have any other ideas, any other things you want to hear discussed that are like of current that are happening right now, faux show, let me know. I was going to talk about too, like just my approach to when I worked in primary care, how I talked about how I hate the phrase with my entire soul. You need to like lose weight and everything around that. Um, I hate how people have conversations surrounding weight and mm, but I don't know if I should do that live. So maybe I don't know. That was my other one. I was like, maybe we'll just do that. But then I was like, oh, that just gets messed. That just gets so messy. Um, yes, I do think we should have a nurses union for the entire country as well. Well, I don't know. That too big of a union? I don't know. That might be because then it's like, how do you get represented that way? Since we don't have a universal healthcare system, that might be rough. Um, we'll have to see. Also, how about Wegovy has been approved for teens 12 and up? I don't know. I have to look into it. Wegovy I was hearing about it as I left primary care practice. I had like drug reps come and talk about it, but there was no way any of my patients could afford it. So I just ate my salad that the lady brought me and I didn't pay attention, if we're being honest. So I have to go back and look at what this is, why people are hateful on like the internet. They're just like absolutely hateful about people trying to take this medicine and like there's a huge shortage of it. But yikers. Don't love it. Don't love it at all. Yeah. So there we are. Thanks for joining our impromptu live. I will keep you posted on the status of the strike. If you think of anything you want to talk about tomorrow, do let me know. If not, I'm going to be Googling random things and saying it. Yeah, we do love reps in their food. Exactly. It's a great time to just like daydream things of, and then they like ask you questions. So if you are unfamiliar, drug reps will bring you food. There's a lot of people out there who think drug reps are like paying you money to prescribe medications. That is not the case. At least in my experience, that was very much not the case, and everyone's experience that I've heard of. They don't pay you to prescribe medications. They bring you food, and then they track how often you prescribe that medicine because you have to give them your national provider identifier number, and then they can track how many times your office or you have prescribed the medicine. So if you don't prescribe it, they don't really come back and you just get the one lunch and nothing else. But if you do prescribe it, then they come back and they give you more food. But it's basically like like that kind of a transaction. Maybe they'll buy you a nicer dinner, but you're not getting paid like money. And sometimes the information is helpful. Most of the time, the information is not helpful. The medicine is cool usually, but it's like no one can actually afford this because you get to the end and they're like, do you have any questions? I'm like, so is this approved by insurance? And they're like, well, not really quite yet, but we do have like a discount program where you can join it and, get the med covered for like an affordable price for like 6 months. And I'm like, great. So once they're on it and it's working, then we take it away from them. Oh, that's awful. So that's how that works in case you were curious. Miss Melanie said, yeah, it never fails to amaze me. The hospital has no money to pay nurses, never, ever, but they do have money to pay themselves and large bonuses, but they have money for travelers. I'm a union supporter. My mom and dad were union workers to cross a picket line is foul. Yes. And that is what people are running into. I think they might run into in New York people are not going to cross picket lines, even if it's not their picket line, right? Then we're going to run into issues. And swag bags. Yes. We never really got swag bags because we were a tiny office. We never prescribed anything good because our patients couldn't afford it. So we didn't get much there, but we did get sometimes Christmas cookies. That made us joyful. I will see, you said, I think agency nurses cost the hospital less in the short term because they don't have to onboard and pay benefits, but I could be wrong. Beyond Me said, no, it costs them more. I don't really know. I have no idea. I don't know. Okay, friends. Well, that's that. Again, I'll keep you posted. If you have any insider deets, do let me know. We certainly do love those. If you get any details about anything else and your information happens, you trip and fall and that information lands in my email inbox, wasn't that a bummer? I will keep you anonymous. Tell me all the things. All right, friends, I hope you have a lovely Monday, and I will see you tomorrow for Late Night with Liz. Bye, friends.